What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How are you doing? What's good? It's your man, Ken Billions. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Happy Juneteenth. Hopefully all is well in your space. Man, I'm glad to be here. Man, you could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with your boy. Haven't seen you guys in a few weeks. I hope the family is doing fine. A lot going on in the world. Man, I haven't went live in a few weeks, and then it just seems like since I went live, so much stuff has happened. So I'm going to get into it and do my part today. This video, what I'm talking about is the doctrine of discovery. The doctrine of discovery is super important, especially if you want to make change in America. If you really truly want to make change in America, then you have to deal with the root of what America is. Now, some of you will say systematic oppression, systematic racism, but it's a little deeper than that. It has its origins somewhere else, and it has its origin in language. Now, this is not going to be a sexy live. This is not going to be an entertaining live. This is going to be a live for straight educational purposes. I'm going to do a lot of reading, a lot of difficult reading. So I'm going to do my best to get through it. But I'm just giving you the heads up. It's not entertaining. It's not going to be sexy, because today what we're going to deal with is language, and we're going to deal with law, right? So what you think is white supremacy and what you think is systematic racism, man, it has everything to do with religion. It has everything to do with the church, because what you're going through, what I've went through, what millions of people around the world are going through is a language technology, language sorcery. And unless you dig deep, deep, deep into the language, then you're not going to be able to experience the freedom that you want to experience. And we have to deal with law and economics. One of the things that's affecting melanated people in America in particular is we deal with emotion. We don't deal with economics, and we don't deal with law, right? We're politically immature, economically immature, and immature when it comes to law. So we just throw ideals out there, but we haven't really done our due diligence. So what I'm talking about in this video, you definitely want to get your pen and paper so you can do your own independent research and go further than me. I'm not an expert on the topic, but I know a little bit about it, and I want to share with you, and you guys can take it and run with it. All right. So do me a favor, like and share the video. Again, this video is the doctrine of discovery, right? So you see I have on the board, words create worlds. Okay. Words create worlds. All right. So you and your family, you and your family is in the position that you are in because of language. All right. So I'm going to start with discovery. If you ever heard that Columbus discovered America, well, based on law, he did. Now, understand something. If you have better technology, and if you're able to pull people into your language begins to create a world for those people. All right. So when you hear Columbus discovered America, it's true. In law, he discovered America. Now, let's get into discovery and find out what it means in law. Okay. So you can look this up in any law dictionary. The same way I got it, you can get it too. There is no secret. So you can empower yourself with the same things that I'm reading to you again. So make sure you guys like and share this video. So let's get into discovery a little bit. And then as I move forward, you'll understand how George Floyd happens, or Rashard Brooks happens, or in things that you think is injustice based on race happens. There's a reason for it. Okay. And it's based on something that started hundreds of years ago from the church. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into discovery. All right. So discovery is the exchange of legal information and known facts of a case. Think of discovery as obtaining and disclosing the evidence and position of each side of a case so that all parties involved can decide what their best options are, move forward to trial, and negotiate an early settlement. Now, remember, when Columbus and the Spanish and the Portuguese are going throughout the world, the people that they're encountering don't know the same language as them. So this is how the Spanish and Portuguese was able to impose their will on different groups of people around the world because of technology, one, and language, okay? So Columbus did indeed discover the new world, but not in the way that you think, based on law of Europe, okay? Law of the church, all right? So we're still dealing with discovery. Parties in a case are required to participate in a discovery process, meaning they must hand over information and evidence about a claim so all parties can know what they are facing at trial. Why is that important? Because when Columbus, Pizarro, Cortez are coming to the New World, the indigenous people of these lands didn't deal with private property. So when Columbus, Pizarro, Cortez, Hernandez, all these conquistadors were coming to the New World, the people here didn't understand what they were talking about because these people here didn't deal with principalities. They didn't have a feudalistic society. They didn't deal with kings and kingdoms and private property. So the conquistadors was able to claim the land. And as I move into the doctrine of discovery, you'll see what I mean. But I just want to be clear about what discovery means. So just so I'm clear, Columbus did indeed discover America, but not in the way that you think. Of course, there were people here, but I'm talking in language and in legal terms. All right, so common types of discovery, written discovery. Under the umbrella of written discovery, we find interrogations. These are written questions casually referred to as rogs. They are presented to the opposing parties and must be answered under oath. Request for production of documents, that's called a RPD. This means the other side may ask you to present copies of written documents, emails, photos, and similar items that reveal the evidence at play in any case, giving you the opportunity to request the same. Now, how can we do that if we speak different languages? So right then and there, the Iroquois, the Choctaw, the Seminole, all of them were already doomed because these people were coming to their land with a different culture, different technology, and they came with language. And these people lost wars because of technology, but not just gunpowder, language technology. English in particular is you're able to cast spells. It's called spelling. But I'm going to get more into that. But I just want to lay the groundwork of what I mean by discovery. Again, I'm going to do a lot of reading. This is not the most sexiest live. It's not the most entertaining. But for those of you that stay, you're going to know how to create a world using your same language. All right. So this is going to be solutions too. All right. So that's a RPD, request for production of documents. And another form of discovery is request for admissions. That means these seek to get a party in the case to admit some wrongdoing or the accuracy of a particular statement of fact. Now we have oral discovery. You have written discovery and you have oral discovery. Remember, Columbus discovered America, and he discovered America on these grounds. All right. Now, what I need people to do is to get out of what you believe. So a lot of times we argue what we believe, but not the data and not what is making rule and law stick. What you personally believe don't matter. This is what it is. So again, you may not believe Columbus discovered America, but he did though. All right. So now let's go into oral discovery. Under the umbrella of oral discovery, we find dispositions. These are in-person meetings, often in a conference room with the parties in the case, the lawyers representing those parties, and a court reporter who will swear in members of the parties and write down everything said under oath at the meeting. Some dispositions may be conducted via video, telephone, or in accordance with state regulations. Now, of course, we're dealing with modern language, so you see emails and those kind of things. But the same things are at play. So, make a long story short, what does discovery mean? Trials can huge consumers of time, energy, and finances. Discovery encourages parties to choose settlement, ending the litigation before trial or before the end of trial, like showing your cards to the opponent in a poker game. Discovery reveals the strengths and weaknesses of the hands each party is holding. Now, knowing the evidence, each side can then proceed with trial or fold the hand based on what has been revealed. All right. So I just wanted to lay the groundwork about discovery, because moving forward in the doctrine of discovery, you're going to see how these lands were taken from very, very, very powerful empires. Before the African diaspora took place, the Incan Empire fell. The Aztec Empire fell based on conquistador campaigns. All right. And you're going to see why that occurred. You're going to see how is it that powerful empires fell very, very fast, and how large bodies of people came to speak Spanish, came to speak English, came to speak Christian, came to be Christian and Catholic. So if you're a Christian to this day, I'm going to give you the data on how that happened. And you pick and choose if that still works for you, right? I'm not going to say Christianity is oh, by the way, let me say this. When the Doctrine of Discovery was written, there were no white people and no black people, right? Europe considered anybody that was not like them barbarians. But there was no black people on the planet, and there was no white people on the planet. All right. That is new. That's an American thing based on social caste system. All right. Class, based on class. All right. So I laid the groundwork for discovery, and you guys can look that up when you get a chance. All right. So make sure you like and share the video. Now, I'm going to get into the first written document that set in motion everything. I'm going to do a lot of reading, so you guys keep up, right? It's called Dum Diveras. That's Latin. I might be saying it wrong. Dum Diveras, all right? A Latino comes from Latin, all right? The Romans spoke Latin. All right, so you spell that D-U-M-D-I-V-E-R-A-S, and it means until different. Dum Diveras. This was a papal bull written, listen to the year, in 1452. So before anything happened here in America, these things were starting to these things were in motion in another part of the world. And here's how you were affected. All right. Now, this is a papal bull written to King Afonso of Portugal. So it's the Spanish and the Portuguese that really set this thing in motion. The Anglo-Saxon, what you think is the European, came in later. So the Portuguese went to Brazil. The Spanish went to the Caribbean and Central America and South America. Also, the Portuguese did make it to China. Stories about Marco Polo and stuff like that. So, but they were under orders from the church. Okay. Now, this is the first papal bull written in 1452. This is from Bishop Nicholas. Now, it's written tricky. Follow along. Again, this is not the most sexiest live. But this right here sets in motion the transatlantic slave trade. All right? Follow me. And it affects you to this day. What you're calling white supremacy does not exist. It's nothing but the doctrine of discovery. Listen to this. All right. As we indeed, now mind you, this is from the Pope. All right. As we indeed understand from your pious and Christian desire, you intend to subjugate the enemies of Christ, namely the Saracens. Saracens were Africans. Namely the Saracens, and bring them back with powerful arm to the faith of Christ, if the authority of apostolic supported you. Therefore, we consider that those rising against the Catholic faith and struggling to extinguish Christian religion must be resisted by the faithful of Christ with courage and firmness, so that the faithful themselves, inflamed by the ardor of faith and armed with the courage to be able to hate their intention, not only to go against the intention, if they prevent unjust attempts of force, but with the help of God, whose soldiers they are, they stop and endeavors of faithless, we fortify with divine love, summoned by the charity of Christians, and bound by the duty of pastoral office, which concerns the integrity and spread of faith, for which Christ our God shed his blood. Wishing to encourage the vigor of faithful and your royal majesty and most sacred intentions to this king. That made no sense, but this is on the books. Now listen and listen clear, because here's where they start flexing. Listen, we grant you, now this is the church, we grant to you full and free power through apostolic authority by this edict to invade, conquer, fight, subjugate the Saracens and pagans. That's Africans. Let's be clear. All right? That's Africans, that's other Europeans that have not taken on the Christian faith. All right? But listen, this is what set in motion what you call white supremacy, manifest destiny, and the total land grab of all indigenous people in the world. But it started somewhere else. 1452, papal bull. It's on paper. All right? So your slavery is paper. Your slavery is language. Listen, we grant to you full and free power through the apostolic authority by this edict to invade, conquer, fight, subjugate the Saracens and pagans and other infidels and other enemies of Christ, and wherever established their kingdoms, duchies, royal palaces, principalities, and other dominions, lands, places, estates, camps, and any other possessions, mobile and immobile, goods found in all these places, and held in whatever name, and held and possessed by the same Saracens, pagans, infidels, and enemies of Christ. Also, realms, duchies, royal palaces, principalities, and other dominions, lands, places, estates, camps, possessions of the king or prince or of the kings or princes, and to lead their persons in perpetual servitude, and to allow and appropriate realms, duchies, royal palaces, principalities, and other dominions, possessions and goods of this kind to you and your use and your successors, the kings of Portugal. Woo! Now, this set in motion genocide, this set in motion complete takeover of men, women, children, not just Africans. We talking natives. We talking everybody around the world, because these people have one thing everybody else don't have, which is technology. That's the only reason your ancestors were slaves. Technology, gunpowder, horses, metal armor, right? Their warfare was differently. It was different. And they were backed by the church. Okay, so you weren't just a Christian because the so-called slave master gave it to you. You are Christian because it's written in the doctrine of discovery to seize all lands from pagans. You considered a pagan. You considered a barbarian. So seize your land, no matter if a king is there or not. Seize the land, rename the land, seize the gold, murder the men, impregnate the women, and re-educate the children. It's right here. Now, this was in 1452. This set in motion Columbus, Cortez, Pizarro, everyone's exploration of the New World and pillage of the New World. You can't change America until you change the doctrine of discovery. This has not been rescinded. This is on the books. I've been to the White House. There's a picture of Columbus there. So not even white Americans know this history right here. They don't even know how it got like this. Because even Europeans, like Druids and everybody else, was converted to Christianity. Okay? So This is called a papal bull, and this is the papal bull of 1452. It's called Dam Diveras, and it means until different. So you see I have up here, words create worlds. You're not going to be able to change your world saying I can't breathe. Language got you into your misery. Language is going to get you out. I didn't say everybody. I'm talking about you and the people you're responsible for. If you're running around talking about I can't breathe, then you can't. Period. To dismantle the old normal, you're going to have to use different language. It's because language got you in this. Now, mind you, did you hear anything about black people in this? This is 1452. There are no black people on the planet, only nations. Okay? So part of your misery is branding and language. You were called black. Just like white people were called white, but there's a finesse to that. So I'm going to get into that now. Now, mind you, I had to read that to get into the real document on why you are talking about systematic oppression and systematic racism. Okay, but I had to give you the first one, which was written in 1452. Now, this one is the Doctrine of Discovery of 1493. Now, this is the papal bull Inter Carrera, all right? And this was issued by Pope Alexander. Now, mind you, if you're a Catholic, this is your history. You need to know this. White people don't even know this. People don't know how it got this way. They just, oh, racism. No. There was something before this. There was not even white and black at this time. It was nations, all right? So, the Doctrine of Discovery, this one written by Pope Alexander, is how Native Americans speak Spanish. All right. So before the Anglo-Saxon, the Puritan got here, the Spanish were here. The Portuguese were here. All right. But this affects you, and you need to learn this so you can change your life around using the power of the tongue. If thoughts are things, then make it work for you now. All right. So let's get into it. Again, I'm doing some heavy reading, so stay with me, all right? The papal bull, Inter Carrera, issued by Pope Alexander, listen to the dates, people, May 4th, 1493, played a central role in Spanish conquest of the New World. The document supported Spain's strategy to ensure its exclusive right to the lands discovered by Columbus the previous year. It established a demarcation line 100 leagues west of the Azores and Cape Verde Islands and assigned Spain exclusive rights to acquire territorial possessions and to trade in all lands west of that line. All others were forbidden to approach the lands west of the line without special license from the rulers of Spain. This effectively gave Spain a monopoly on the lands in the New World. The bull stated that any land not inhabited by Christians was able to be what? Discovered. Now, I just read discovery. It's not what you think. In your mind, you're like, how can somebody discover something where people was? Based on their premises. The people that were on this land were not Christians. Therefore, they had no rights to the land. You understand? So Columbus did, in fact, discover it based on their terminology. They didn't look at the natives as Catholic or Christian. They were barbarians in their eyes. So they had no rights to the land, no rights to their gold, and in essence, no rights to the body. And if you remember from the first papal bull, based on what was signed by the Pope, they were ordered to be subjugated and forced into lifetime servitude. All right? Now, these people think they are doing the work of God. Understand this. All right? So the documents, okay, Okay. All others were forbidden to approach the land west of the line without special license from the rulers of Spain. This effectively gave Spain a monopoly on the lands in the New World. The bull stated that any land not inhabited by Christians was available to be discovered, claimed, and exploited by Christian rulers, and declared that the Catholic faith and the Christian religion be exalted and be everywhere increased and spread, that the health of souls be cared for, and that the barbarous nations be overthrown and brought into the faith itself. All right, now mind you, there's no black people. I'm going to get into the word black in a second because this is all language. Now, this is very interesting that in these documents, you never hear one time of you being called black, of the natives being called black. Now, keep that in your mind, all right? Because we have to have a nationality conversation. Because why do George Floyd's keep happening? What is it written into the fabric of America that people that look a certain type of way, how come they're on the bottom? I'm telling you why they're on the bottom. They're on the bottom based on something that was written in the 1400s. And unless you peel back this, you're not, it does not matter how many changes in the police force happen. It does not matter how many corporations pledge to you. Until you undo the doctrine of discovery, it's a wrap. All right? So let's get into it. I'm going to do some reading. Now, you can find this online. In fact, you should print this out. You should read it to your loved one. You should read it to your kids so you can take language serious, so you can take law serious and economics serious. This, in my opinion, should be your diet every day. If you're really telling me that you're at war, then you ain't got no time to gossip. If you're really at war, then you spend your day training and you spend your day studying. If you truly at war, right? Because after they give you what you want, then you go back to doing TikTok videos. The same things are going to keep happening because your oppression starts here. All right? Believe it or not, your oppression has started with a pen. And it can be undone with the pen. All right? So, let's get into it. Now, this is the Doctrine of Discovery of 1493. All right? It's a little lengthy, but listen to the words though. Wherefore, as become Catholic kings and princes, after earnest considerations of all matters, especially of the rise and spread of the Catholic faith, as was the fashion of your ancestors, kings and of renowned memory, you have proposed with the favor of divine clemency to bring under your sway the said mainlands and islands with their residents and inhabitants, and to bring them to the Catholic faith. Hence, heartily commending in the Lord this your holy and praiseworthy purpose, and desires that it be duly accomplished, and that the name of our Savior be carried into those regions, we exhort you very earnestly in the Lord, and by your reception of holy baptism, whereby you are bound to our apostolic commands, and by the bounds of the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ, enjoy strictly that insomuch as with eager zeal for the true faith you design to equip and dispatch this expedition. You propose also, as is your duty, to lead the people's dwelling, listen, to lead the people dwelling in those lands and countries to embrace the Christian religion, nor at any time let dangers or hardships deter you therefrom, with the stout hope and trust in your hearts that Almighty God will further your undertakings. And in order that you may enter upon so great an undertaking with great readiness and heartiness, endowed with benefit of our apostolic favor, we, of our own accord, not at your instance, nor the request of anyone else in your regard, but out of our own soul largest and certain knowledge, and out of the fullness of our apostolic power, by the authority of Almighty God, conferred upon us blessed Peter and the vicarship of Jesus Christ, which we hold on earth, do by tenure of these presents, should any of said islands have been found by your envoys and captains, give, grant, and assign to you and your heirs and successors, kings of Castle and Leon forever, together with their dominions, cities, camps, places, village, and all rights, jurisdictions, appurtenances, all islands and mainlands found and to be found, discovered and to be discovered towards the west and south by drawing and establishing a line, listen to this, a line from the Arctic Pole, namely the north, to the Arctic Pole, namely the south. They're claiming every single thing. Whew. No matter whether the said mainland and island are the Arctic Pole, no matter whether the said mainland and island are found and to be found in the direction of India or towards any other quarter, the said line be distant 100 leagues towards the west and south from any island commonly known as the Azores and Cape Verde. Whew. With the proviso, however, that none of the island and mainlands found and be found, discovered and to be discovered beyond that said line towards the west and south be in the actual, listen to this, be in the actual possession of any Christian king or prince up to the birthday of our Lord Jesus Christ, just past, from which the present year 1493 begins. Basically, if they was to inhabit any land that was claimed by a Christian king or prince, then it was hands off. But if you were not a king or prince and you were under the Christian yoke, then it was off with your head. And they drew a line from the North Pole to the South Pole. They were claiming every single part of the world in the name of Jesus Christ. This is how you are Christian. All right? This is how you are Christian. This is how your mother is a Catholic. This is not me saying this. This is the Pope saying this in 1493. And before that, it was a war on the Saracens, and that was in 1452. This is how you are your religion. You did not get it from the slave master. This was already in motion. This is how he got the religion, because white people don't even know about the doctrine of discovery. They just woke up one day. They have no clue that this is what manifest destiny came from. They have no clue. Right? This is important. I know it's a lot of reading, but yo, this is on the books, yo. We got to study to show ourselves approved. And we make a point and depute you and your said heirs and successors, lords of them, with full and free power, authority, and jurisdiction over every kind, with this proviso, however, that by this our gift grant and assign no right acquired by any Christian prince who may be in actual possession of said islands and mainlands prior to the said birthday of our Lord Jesus Christ, is hereby to be understood to be withdrawn or taken away. Again, as long as you in these lands are Christian, but we know natives to DR, Haiti, Americas, Central America, South America, Africa, we know these people were not this type of Christian. Of course, you have Gnosticism, Coptic Christianities, which are mystic versions of Christian, but this is Orthodox Christianity, and none of these people were that. So this is how, when Columbus came to these people, he came with this. He came with edicts and papal bulls. All right? This is, you can't change America unless you change the doctrine of discovery. All right? So let's get it. Moreover, we command you in virtue of holy obedience that, employing all due diligence in the premises, as you also promised, nor do we doubt your compliance therein in accordance with your loyalty and royal greatness of spirit. You should appoint to the aforesaid mainlands and islands worthy, God-fearing, learned, skilled, and experienced men in order to instruct the aforesaid inhabitants and residents in the Catholic Church and train them in good morals. So, if you was on the boat with Pizarro, Cortez, Columbus, they put the men in charge of all the lands. And it was their job to convert the so-called barbarians into Catholicism, into Christianity. This is before the African diaspora. Okay? Man. All right. You guys, y'all there? You follow me? Make sure you download a copy of the Doctrine of Discovery. It's tricky reading, but you need it in order for you to start your new world. Because if you understand the Doctrine of Discovery, you would not walk around saying you can't breathe. We're dealing with language here. You see, it's language that allowed people to dominate other people with the word. That's how powerful the word is. And you walking around saying you can't breathe. Who told you to talk like that? Why would you say something like that and wearing a face mask? You can't breathe. Remember, the brain can't differentiate what's real and what's not. Speak empowerment over you and your family. That's the only protection that you're going to have. Your number one asset that you have is your tongue, yo. Your tongue solves your problems. Words create worlds. You think I'm lying? The Doctrine of Discovery created a world. When Columbus found the Arawaks, he cut their hands off because they had gold on their hands and they had gold around their necks. They slaughtered the Taino. Why? Because words create worlds. This is not what I believe. I'm reading to you something on how what you're calling white supremacy is nothing but the Doctrine of Discovery. It's religion supremacy. This is why your Christianity, no disrespect, doesn't work for you. It works for Europeans. Listen to what I'm reading here. This is from the Pope. Don't holler at me, holler at him. Okay. All right, God-fearing. Okay. Oh, furthermore, under penalty of excommunication, late centelli to be accrued, IPO facto, that's Latin, should anyone contrive, we strictly forbid all persons of whatsoever rank, even imperial and royal, or whatsoever estate, degree, order, or condition, to dare without your special permit of that of your aforesaid heirs and successors to go for the purpose of trade or any other reason to the inlands or mainlands found to be found, discovered and to be discovered, towards the west and south, and by drawing and establishing a line from the Arctic Pole and then to the Arctic Pole, no matter where the mainlands and islands found to be found lie in the direction of India or toward any other quarter whatsoever. That said line to be distant 100 leagues towards the west and south, as is aforesaid, from any of the islands commonly known as the Azores and Cape Verde, apostolic constitutions and ordinances and decrees whatsoever to the contrary notwithstanding. We trust in him from whom empires and governments and all good things proceeds, that should you, with the Lord's guidance, pursue this holy and praiseworthy undertaking, in a short while your hardships and endeavors will attain the most felicitous result to the happiness and the glory of all Christendom. Now, do you guys notice something? You notice when you're reading a contract, doesn't it kind of sound tricky like this? I'm reading this word for word verbatim. You see how tricky it is? This is how things were written at that time. But if you notice, when you go to court, this is what your contract does. Then you have to hire a lawyer. You know what this is called? Legalese. This is why we don't understand that Columbus, this is why we don't understand when we talk about Columbus discovering America. He did discover America based on legalese, okay? Based on legalese, he did discover America, okay? Now, I just got through the doctrine of discovery. Now, what does that have to do with you? Because what we are naming white supremacy, I just talked about the origins of it. We talked about what discovery actually means in legal terms. And what happens is if someone can pull you into their language, they got you. Okay? If I can pull you into my language, I own the spell. So whatever I say you are in my language, you are. If I call you stupid in my language and I'm able to subjugate you, you belong to me no matter what. Okay, so now we got to get into terms. You see, I have black, white, and I have supremacy. Now, remember everything that I said in the doctrine of discovery, because language matters. Now, that was written in the 1400s. They used the word barbarous, but they never talked about black people. Now, why is that important? Because black, negro, was something that the Spanish called brown-skinned people, negro, right? Now, mind you, these people didn't call themselves that. Why is that important? Again, black existed before those people ever met each other. So in a certain language, black is not good, but we're in another people's language. So what does black mean in this language? Now, and why is that important? Wicked, gloomy, sullen, hostile, disaster, devil, condemnation, soiled, dirty, no light. Now, why is that important? Because in ancient times, light was considered knowledge. Light is always referred to as knowledge. Now, mind you, of course, you have an emotional connection to black. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, of course. Because if I say stop saying black, now you think you have to give up an identity. But what I'm talking about is you didn't call yourself that. I just read to you the doctrine of discovery. That people misnaming you was part of the subjugation and servitude. Because if I can strip you of your nation, if I can strip you of your clan, and then I can get you under the umbrella of the new terminology, the words associated with the terminology now apply to you. Okay? Listen to the way melanated people in America talk. Unlucky, depression, stress. Now, that's funny because the things that melanated people go through in this country and in the world it adds up to the terms. Gloomy, occurrence of disaster, devil, hostile, wicked, expressive of condemnation or discredit, no light, absence of light, calamity, sullen. That's how a lot of people talk. So look at it like this. All of us have phones. Your phone is the hardware, all right? The apps you put on the phone is the software. Language is software, okay? Now, it doesn't matter what you think it means. You didn't create the word, therefore it means whoever created it owns the intent. So it doesn't matter what you think. That's the thing. It doesn't matter what you believe. Only when you start to create a different words for your world. When you start creating different words for your world, you control the intent of it. But you can't make black mean what you want it to mean because it's not yours. It's theirs. Okay? When they call you negro and you're like, yo, I'm Tiano. Negro. It's like the scene in Roots. Kunta's like, yo, my name is Kunta. And he like, nah, Toby. See, when you take on the name Toby, you take on everything associated with the name. So Kunta was trying to keep his name because with his name comes a set of behaviors. With black comes a set of behaviors. Let me read them to you again. Again, this is not belief. We're not dealing with belief right now. Hostile, disaster, right? Grandmama got diabetes. The roof been leaking for 40 years. Grandmama is a good Christian woman. Why she can't get no come up? Never. Why? Why so she don't deserve to come up? Why she can't come up? She a good Christian. She following all the rules. What's up? She black. That's why. Ain't no nation for that. Yeah, this is deep. You got to look at it. Let me see. Black clothing. Object. Black is an object. You know what I'm saying? Right under black is blackamoor. Right? Dark-skinned person. That's another topic. All right? So, I just wanted to get into black because now we got to go to white and we got to go to supremacy. Why is this all important? Because this is a shift and a remix of the doctrine of discovery. It was language at play then. It was language at play now. When you call people so-called slave masters, one thing you're not saying is that they're scientists and occultists, right? You just say slave master. No, these were very learned individuals. These were people that cast spells. Language is a spell, right? If you say it's power in the name of Jesus, then that right there tells you that it's power in words, right? Abracadabra, it seals a prayer. So mote it be, it seals a prayer, okay? So we gotta, we undo our generational curses with language. Now, not everybody's gonna go. I'm not saying this all works for all black people. I'm talking to the individual specifically, right? Now let's get into white. Now look at the difference. Why do white cops get off killing so-called black people? Why? Why is that? Because what does it mean to be white? Free from moral impurity. So automatically you get the benefit of the doubt. It's in the language. So understand something. There was no white people when the doctrine of discovery was created. When the Irishman came to America, he found out he was white. When the Polish man came to America, he found out he was white. Before that, he did not know he was white because white didn't exist, because white and black is a social construct for class in America. But black is on the bottom and white is on the top. White doesn't mean people. It's a frequency. Listen, anybody claiming to be white is automatically free from moral impurity. Listen to this. Innocent. Innocent, not intended to cause harm, favorable, fortunate. Wow. Wow. Favorable, fortunate, incapable of moral impurity. That means that if I call myself black and this person calls themselves white, automatically I'm going to lose. Because why? Why is that? Because white is free from immoral impurity. Remember, I'm not talking people. These are terms. Words create worlds. I just read to you the doctrine of discovery. I just read to you edicts. Now, the Pope, peep this. The Vatican is the spiritual capital of the world. It's a city-state. Rome is a city-state. London, England is the financial capital of the world. It's a city-state. Washington, D.C., where I'm at, is the military capital of the world. It's a city-state. Why do you think that the people was able to be subjugated like they were? Because it came from the Pope. Because the Pope got the cheat code. The Knights Templar were doing mad pillaging. Now, this is my personal belief. This is my personal belief, opinion. that the Knights Templar, when they was pillaging Egypt, when they was pillaging old civilizations, they brought back some crazy technology. And they were able to do some spell work. And that's the only reason why this group of people, what you call the elite, has been ruling this long, is because they found some type of ancient technology based on spells. Because the Doctrine of Discoveries are written by popes. Now, how did they know that that language that they was using was going to be able to basically put the whole entire world to sleep? Either that or they're working with some extraterrestrial help. Because how is that possible? Okay? So words create worlds. All right? White. Let's get into it again real quick. White. Free from immoral impurity. Innocent. Favorable. Fortunate. Yo. So if you say you're a white person, what you're saying is you're lucky. And if I'm saying I'm a black person, what I'm saying is I'm sin, evil, devil, everything negative. But again, understand something. We're in someone else's language. So if you step in someone else's house, then whatever the rules of that house, you got to abide by the rules. It's same way with language. You understand? Yo, I can't go to Philly right now and make the word John mean what I want it to mean. It means whatever they say it means. That's their shit. I can't go to the Bay Area right now and change the definition of hyphy. You know what I'm saying? I can't go to New York right now and change the definition of son and done. They're going to be looking at me like, who are you? We've been doing this. You in our house, so our rules apply. All right, now, I just told you what white means. Now let's go to supremacy. What I would like to do is lift the burden off of you. Stop talking like that. White supremacy. What are you saying? You are a magician yourself. You don't know the word you're using. Now listen, look at supremacy. Let's peep this. Supremacy implies superiority over all others. To be supreme means highest in rank, highest degree or quality, ultimate, final. Come on now. So what you're saying is that what you say is white supremacy. So immoral impurity. And then you put so incapable of moral impurity. And then you attach it with supreme. I understand what you're trying to say, but that's not what you're saying. Oh, yeah. The system of white supremacy. Of course they're in charge. You don't know what white means and you don't know what supremacy means. Just like the etymology of the word nice means stupid. Nice guys finish last. You can't change the meaning of the word. It is what it is. You can't put new wine in old wine bottles. You have to use new bottles for new wine. Because the old contents is still going to be in there no matter how good you wash it. Now, and I'm not talking your belief system. You believe in white supremacy.